Hello, I'm Rochelle, and today I'm presenting my positionality and identity box assignment, sharing not just who I am, but how my experiences shape how I show up in learning spaces. As I begin this assignment, I take on the roles of both an adult learner and an educator. For example, when I facilitate a workshop, I balance leading discussions and learning from others. This highlights the need for adaptability and reflection in both roles. To relate my roles to a metaphor, I turn to the image of a house. This helps illustrate the differences between how I perceive myself and how society assigns me identity, especially regarding race, culture, privilege, and oppression. Paulo Freire talks about liberating education as something that requires thinking, not just passing information from one person to another. Stephen Brookfield urges educators, especially white educators, to examine their unearned credibility and power and accountability. Both highlight deep reflection on power in education. Because of this, the assignment goes beyond listing identities. I chose a house as my metaphor because it represents both safety and security, but also exposure. The house helps me link my internal experiences to how society perceives me. Some parts of the house are open to others, while some are private and protected. In this presentation, the inside of the house represents the identities I keep close or share only with some people. The outside shows the identities that society assigns to me. Inside the house are parts of my identity shaped by emotional sensitivity, mental health, and survival. These protected identities include the resilience I've gained from my experiences, the healing practices I maintain, and the reality of living with class insecurity. Together, they shape how I approach both learning and teaching. Though often hidden in learning settings, these parts of me shape how I engage, manage challenges, and connect with others. For instance, my class insecurity during a workshop led me to offer resourceful solutions and encourage creative problem solving. These protected identities influence how I teach and learn. I protect these identities on purpose. It's not because they don't matter, but because sharing them isn't always safe or needed in school or institutions. On the outside of the house are the identities that society puts on me. People usually see me as a professional educator, credible, financially secure, and generally polite and composed. That impression is not random. It's shaped by how I look, speak, and how well I conform to what institutions describe as, quote, respectable. These assumptions can open doors, but they can also oversimplify things. People often miss the parts of my experience that don't fit, such as vulnerability, struggle, and responsibility. Next, drawing from Brookfield's work, I reflect on power, the power I carry. These powers include racial, language and role power, cultural capital from knowing institutional norms, and moral or emotional power from being seen as trustworthy and respectable. Naming these powers increases my accountability. This slide highlights the tension I experience as both a learner and educator. Within this space, I hold both power and vulnerability simultaneously. As I navigate this duality, balancing roles as a learner and educator, I am reminded of Brookfield's idea that educators must reject the myth of neutral teaching and intentionally challenge racial inequality. This shapes my decisions and relationships in education, requiring me to maintain this ongoing tension rather than resolving it. This assignment reminds me that positionality is always evolving. It requires ongoing reflection and accountability regarding how power shapes my place in learning as an educator and a learner. And this feels like ongoing work. The concepts in this presentation come from course readings, especially Stephen Brookfield and Paulo Freire. Their work helped frame how I think about learning, power, and responsibility in adult education. The full references are included here. Thank you for taking the time to listen.